Alright, so first of all, I have to start off this video by saying I'm going to be buying the PlayStation 5 day one when it releases. There's going to be multiple games made by Sony that'll get me to buy the console. But all those games and all the excitement I have for those games doesn't hide the fact that Sony has been very weird for a little while now. To be honest, for me personally, they've been very quiet or doing weird marketing decisions for almost 2 years. We all know that 2018 was one of the best years around for a single publisher. They released God of War, which is one of the best games of the generation. Then they released Spider-Man, another game that is one of the best this generation. But ever since then, it's been nothing but bad news or no news at all. Which brings us to 2020, where we've heard little about the next generation console, and the little we've heard isn't that impressive. But now there's rumors circulating that Sony's PS5 could be in even more trouble, to the point that it could change the way they launch the console or the way developers can make games on the console. Now, of course, I want to say this is just a rumor and we should take it with a huge grain of salt, but for a lot of editors and people with contacts to share this out does make me wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes at Sony. So let's get into this leak and talk about how the PS5 could be in trouble. But like always, if you like the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. So enough of that, let's get into this rumor, because to me it sounds insane and something that could really change the way next generation consoles are launched. Not to mention, it can give Sony a lot of problems when they decide to finally show and launch their PS5, especially with strong competition from Microsoft and Xbox Series X, which the leak says here. Talk to devs working on the games. I know several. I also know people developing directly for Sony. I work in the business in another sector. The collective feeling is Sony screwed up this generation. They underestimated Microsoft and were overconfident. Again, expect delays to the PS5 and heating problems to rival the Xbox 360. Sony is really concerned right now. Wow, that escalated pretty quick. And to be honest, it's a little harsh. Remember everyone, this is just a rumor and something we shouldn't take entirely serious. But at the end of the day, a lot of people that are known to have contacts are saying the same thing. One of them is someone that writes about games for a very popular gaming site. Here's what he says when he tweets this direct rumor. FUD or legit, concerns about Sony's PlayStation 5 having issues? Anyone following this stuff, talking to game devs and people in the know, have been hearing similar rumblings for months now. This just summarizes it well. Sony may have overshot and underestimated Microsoft. To me, this is where things are starting to pick up, because it does put Sony in a very critical light that they might have not been able to get out of. It's because we're all looking forward to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. The main difference between the two is the power and confidence Xbox is showing with their console. And the leak continues to say that when it says this. Don't you find it odd they have yet to really show the hardware despite pressure to do so due to Microsoft? Because the hardware fails at an alarming rate. The system cannot maintain its clocks. The M.2 gets hot quick. More throughput means more power consumption means more heat. But even a PCIe 3.0 M.2 got hot in the setup. The underlying issue is that Sony did not realize the form factor needed to be changed, and now they are concerned about having to complete redesign it and have it look more the Xbox Series X tower, because it will look like they have just copied Microsoft. Now this is starting to make a little more sense, because a lot of people did criticize the design of the Xbox Series X, but if you ask me, it's quite amazing looking and something I actually think looks pretty cool. But when you hear Phil Spencer or Xbox engineers talk about the machine, they always say it's built to help make the system run cool. It's not meant to make the system look amazing and sleek. It's about making the console run at a great temperature instead of overheating. And this also may answer the question I've had for a while, which is why haven't Sony shown their console or any launch titles yet? Well, the leak explains why here. Do you also not think it's odd they have not really shown off some launch titles? Reason? The devs have no idea what to optimize for, because Sony has no idea what the PS5 will deliver in consistent performance yet, and they do not want to show off captures from dev systems that do not match what a production console would produce. The people I know closest to it have said it's really bad. Sony is just hoping the PlayStation name can help them weather it for 2 years so they can get to a redesign. Now, this is something that's been in my mind for a very long time. I always wondered why Sony hasn't talked about their launch titles for their new powerful console. Why haven't we seen anything come up about the PlayStation 5's launch titles, minus of course Godfall, which isn't an exclusive and is not a first-party title? It's something Sony has to address sooner or later, because with Halo Infinite launching with the Xbox Series X, it's going to be a very different generation. Not to mention, PlayStation won't even come close to having the power crown like they did last generation. As for Sony hoping the PlayStation name will help them, I don't want to speculate on that, because I feel that the brand recognition is on PlayStation's side either way. But if the product has problems, I can see a lot of things changing for the worse on Sony's side. And it's looking like the attention and positive motivation is on Microsoft's side, which the article says here. You've been warned. Sony rested on its laurels and took for granted what was going on. They heard rumors of what Microsoft was doing, but did not believe Microsoft could pull it off. Third parties verified Microsoft achieved all they set out to do and have tested the Xbox Series X. Microsoft was very open about letting them. That is why Sony rushed things to try and get something out. Them seeing that Microsoft is ready to manufacture right now caused some problems. Alright, we've heard for several months that people are really impressed with the Xbox's new console. There's been developers from all over the industry talking about how transparent and honest Xbox has been, how they've optimized the console for developers to make games fast and easy, but at the same time not compromise anything in the process. But for Sony, even when Mark Cerny was explaining things on the podium, it just felt different. The confidence wasn't there, and the developers that spoke about the console weren't nearly as impressed as they were with the Xbox Series X. Now, of course, the PS5 is going to be insane, but it's just not the same level of the Xbox Series X. It seems like Xbox came with a very well thought out plan and wanted to win the power narrative and change the perception of Xbox as a brand, while Sony got a little ahead of themselves and thought that their name will carry them next generation. The leak even mentions this and talks about a possible delay. Here's what's said. The debate right now is, do they delay by 6 to 12 months to get it right, or do they force it out to keep pace with Microsoft and deal with a high fail rate and performance issues? I know for a fact attempts to optimize for PS5 take far more work than the Xbox Series X. The devs say the Xbox delivers steady power that is always predictable, while the PS5 does not, and is not even predictable all the time. This makes optimizing near impossible. It cannot always deliver the power you ask it to, even in short bursts. Now, this is where things start to get very worrisome, because it's starting to show that Sony might want to delay the PlayStation 5 launch in order to make the console far more efficient, which would cost them millions of dollars to do so. Now, I don't think it will come to this, but I also think Sony might want to launch a second console in a couple of years to offset the mistakes they might have made with this new one. But of course, this is all rumor and hearsay, but for me it's telling that Sony hasn't shown their console or talked about anything regarding the design or the first-party lineup of the console. Everything is kept under wraps, and it's starting to get a little scary to think of the possibilities. Not to mention hearing a few insiders with great track records talking about this. Either way, I think there is something happening internally at Sony. They've had way too much overturn in the last year for there not to be something going on. Will the PS5 come out and be a great piece of hardware? Of course it will, but that doesn't hide the fact of what's happening in the rumor spreading, or the blatant silence from Sony, or the multiple events they've missed or skipped entirely the last 2 years. Let's hope everything works out for the better, because I want great consoles from both Sony and Microsoft, and I want competition to be at an all-time high. But enough about what I think. What do you think about all of this? Do you believe this rumor? Has Sony shot themselves in the foot this coming generation? Has Xbox turned the tide and made an even better console than we could have ever imagined? What can Sony do to stop these harsh rumors? When will we actually see the new console? Are they going to talk about launch titles or first-party titles coming to the PS5 anytime soon? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. I'm playing Doom Eternal right now, and I hope to finish it in the next day or two. The game is insane and gory, and I love every minute of it. I hope you guys check that game out. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.